Let me take you on a journey. Imagine standing at the starting line of the biggest race of your life, but instead of just running blindly, you have a clear map, a defined destination, and a powerful reason to get there. That's how millionaires think. They don't just wake up and hope things work out. They design their future with precision. Success starts in the mind. It's not about luck, it's about clarity. The people who build wealth, who make a real impact, they don't just say, I want to be rich. That's too vague. They say, I want to build a company that generates $10 million in revenue within 5 years. Or, I will create a brand that revolutionizes the industry. They set a target so clear that there's no confusion about where they're going. Think about it like this. If you get in a car and just start driving without knowing your destination, where are you going to end up? Nowhere meaningful. You'll waste time, gas, and energy. But when you have a GPS, when you know exactly where you're heading, every turn you make has purpose. That's the mindset of a millionaire. Every action is intentional. Every decision is a step toward the goal. But here's where most people fail. They set a goal once, they get excited for a few days, and then life happens. They lose focus, they get distracted. The world is full of distractions, and if you don't keep your vision in front of you every single day, you'll drift. That's why the most successful people write their goals down, they visualize them, they remind themselves every morning and every night. They don't let their dreams sit on the back burner because they know that success doesn't come from wishing, it comes from relentless focus. And let me tell you something important. Your goals need to be so compelling that they light a fire inside you. If your goal doesn't excite you, it's not big enough. If your vision doesn't make you want to jump out of bed in the morning, you're not thinking big enough. The greatest entrepreneurs, the wealthiest minds, they dream on a level that most people don't even dare to imagine. They see beyond their current situation, beyond their limitations, and they lock onto a vision so powerful that nothing can shake them. But let's be real, it's not just about dreaming big, it's about taking massive action. A millionaire's mindset isn't just about writing down goals, it's about executing them. Because a dream without action is just a wish. I see too many people who get inspired for a moment, they say they want to change their life, but they never back it up with action. You can't just hope for success, you have to work for it. And that means taking steps every single day, no matter how small, no matter how uncomfortable. And let me tell you something else. The moment you commit to your vision, life will test you. You'll face setbacks, you'll experience doubt, and people around you might even tell you that you're crazy. That's the breaking point where most people quit. But the ones who push through, the ones who stay locked in on their goal, even when things get tough, those are the people who win. You have to see the finish line before you even start the race. You have to believe in your vision so strongly that nothing can make you let go of it. That's what separates the people who succeed from the people who just dream about success. So ask yourself right now, what's your vision? Is it clear? Is it strong enough to pull you through the hard days? If not, it's time to redefine it, because the difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't talent, it isn't resources. It's the ability to see the future before it happens and stay committed to making it real. It all starts with a decision. Decide what you want, see it, own it, and never let go. Let me tell you something, motivation is overrated. People think success comes from feeling inspired all the time, from waking up every morning pumped up and ready to go, but that's not how it works. The truth is, the most successful people in the world don't rely on motivation. They rely on discipline. They do what needs to be done whether they feel like it or not. That's the difference. Discipline is the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. It's what separates those who achieve massive success from those who just talk about it. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone start a new goal, go all in for a few weeks, and then quit as soon as it gets tough? That's because they were relying on motivation, and motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. But discipline, that's permanent. That's what keeps you moving forward even on the days when you don't feel like showing up. People always ask, how do millionaires stay consistent? How do they keep pushing forward day after day, year after year? It's because they've trained themselves to act regardless of how they feel. They've built habits that drive them forward automatically. It's not about being in the mood. It's about conditioning your mind and body to execute no matter what. That's what makes the difference. Think about an athlete training for the Olympics. Do you think they only train when they feel good? No, they train every single day, whether they're tired, sore, or mentally drained. Why? Because they understand that greatness doesn't come from occasional effort. It comes from showing up every day, putting in the work, and doing it even when it's uncomfortable. That's how champions are made. And it's no different in business, in wealth building, or in any area of life. The people who succeed at the highest levels understand one simple truth: discipline creates freedom. Most people think discipline is restrictive. They think if they follow a strict routine, if they hold themselves accountable every single day, they're trapping themselves. But the reality is, discipline is what sets you free, because when you have the discipline to do the hard things now, you create options for yourself in the future. You gain control over your time, your money, and your life. That's real freedom. But here's where most people get stuck. They think they have to be perfect. They think if they miss one day, if they mess up once, it's over. That's not how this works. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. You don't have to get it right every time, but you have to keep showing up. You have to keep moving forward. That's what separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't. And let me tell you this, your habits will determine your future. If you wake up every day and waste your time scrolling through social media, procrastinating, making excuses, guess what? That's exactly what your life is going to reflect. But if you wake up every day and commit to your goals, if you put in the work, if you stay disciplined, your future will look completely different. You can't expect millionaire results with average habits. You have to level up. You have to train yourself to be consistent even when life throws obstacles in your way. There will be days when you don't feel like doing the work. There will be moments when you want to quit. That's when you remind yourself why you started in the first place. That's when you push through. That's when you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your excuses. Because at the end of the day, success isn't about talent. It's not about luck. It's about who is willing to keep going when most people stop. You have to make a decision right now. Are you going to be one of those people who starts strong and fades away when it gets tough? Or are you going to be the person who shows up no matter what, who stays consistent, who refuses to quit? Because that's the person who wins. That's the person who builds wealth, who creates success, who lives life on their own terms. So don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Train yourself to take action, to be relentless, to stay consistent no matter what. Because in the end, the person who wins is the one who keeps showing up day after day until success is the only possible outcome. Most people spend their entire lives avoiding risk. They play it safe, stick to what's comfortable, and wonder why they never achieve the level of success they dream about. But look at anyone who has built real wealth, anyone who has changed the game in their industry, and you'll see one thing in common. They take risks. Not reckless, blind risks, but calculated, strategic ones. They understand that success isn't about avoiding failure, it's about managing risk in a way that maximizes opportunity. Fear is what keeps most people stuck. They think, what if I fail? What if I lose money? What if it doesn't work? But here's the reality. There's risk in everything. There's risk in staying where you are, just like there's risk in making a move. The difference is successful people choose risks that have a greater potential upside. They don't gamble, they make informed decisions. They do the research, analyze the numbers, and bet on themselves. That's how wealth is created. Think about this, if you never take a chance, you're guaranteeing failure. Because playing it safe doesn't mean staying in the same place, it means falling behind. The world is moving, the economy is shifting, opportunities are coming and going every single day. And if you're just sitting there, afraid to make a move, you're losing by default. The biggest risk in life isn't trying and failing, it's never trying at all. Most people don't understand this because they've been taught their whole lives to play it safe. Get a stable job, save a little money, don't rock the boat. But look at the wealthiest people in the world. Do you think they followed that advice? No, they took chances, they made bold moves, and when they failed, they learned and kept going. That's the difference. And let's talk about failure for a second, because this is where most people get it wrong. They think failure is the opposite of success, but it's not. Failure is part of success. Show me someone who has never failed, and I'll show you someone who has never tried to do anything great. Every millionaire, every billionaire, every top performer has stories of massive failures. The difference is they don't let those failures define them. They use them, they take the lesson, adjust their strategy, and keep moving forward. That's the mindset that separates those who make it from those who don't. The key to calculated risk is knowing your numbers, knowing your worst case scenario and preparing for it. It's not about jumping blindly into an opportunity. It's about understanding exactly what's at stake and making smart decisions. You have to weigh the cost of inaction just as much as the cost of action. Because if the potential upside is life-changing and the downside is something you can recover from, that's a risk worth taking. And here's the thing, once you start taking smart risks, you build confidence. You develop the ability to make better decisions, to trust your instincts, to spot opportunities that others miss. Most people never reach that level because they let fear control them. They sit on the sidelines watching other people take action, then wonder why nothing changes for them. But the truth is, success is reserved for those who are willing to take the leap. No one is saying it's easy. There will be moments of doubt, moments where things don't go as planned, moments where you wonder if you made the right choice. But if you stay in the game long enough, if you keep learning and adjusting, you will come out ahead. Because in the long run, the people who win are the ones who take action, the ones who refuse to let fear dictate their future, the ones who understand that without risk, there is no reward. Success is a moving target. What worked yesterday won't necessarily work tomorrow. The world is changing fast, and the people who thrive are the ones who commit to learning, growing, and adapting every single day. Wealth isn't built by those who think they already have all the answers. It's built by those who stay curious, who constantly upgrade their skills, and who are willing to pivot when necessary. Too many people get stuck because they refuse to evolve. They hold on to outdated strategies, resist new ideas, and let their egos get in the way of progress. They tell themselves, "This is how I've always done it," as if that's a good enough reason to keep doing something that no longer works. That mindset kills success. The most successful people in the world, entrepreneurs, investors, industry leaders, are students first. They never stop learning and they never assume they know it all. Look at any top performer and you'll see a pattern. They read, they ask questions, they surround themselves with people who challenge their thinking, they aren't afraid to admit when they're wrong, and they're quick to change their approach when they find a better way. That's why they stay ahead while everyone else falls behind, because in business, in wealth, in life, if you're not growing, you're dying. And here's the key, learning isn't just about consuming information, it's about applying it. You can read every book, take every course, listen to every podcast, but if you don't take action on what you learn, it's useless. Real learning happens when you implement, when you test things out, when you apply new knowledge in the real world and adjust based on experience. That's how you develop the instincts that separate amateurs from professionals. The best entrepreneurs and wealth builders are always adapting. They don't get emotional about change, they embrace it. If the market shifts, they adjust their strategy. If new technology emerges, they figure out how to use it to their advantage. They don't complain about disruption, they lead the disruption. That's the mindset that creates lasting success. But most people resist change because it's uncomfortable. They would rather stay in their comfort zone, even if it means settling for less. They want things to be easy, predictable, and familiar. But here's the truth. Comfort is the enemy of growth. The moment you stop challenging yourself, the moment you stop pushing your limits, is the moment you start falling behind. The people who win in life are the ones who get comfortable being uncomfortable. They seek out challenges, they embrace uncertainty, and they understand that growth only happens when you're willing to step into the unknown. And let's be real, it's not always easy. There will be times when you fail, times when you struggle, times when you feel like you have no idea what you're doing. That's part of the process. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is simple. The successful ones keep going. They don't see failure as the end. They see it as feedback. They learn from it, adjust, and come back stronger. That's why they keep winning while everyone else gives up. If you want to build wealth, if you want to create success, you have to commit to being a lifelong learner. You have to be willing to adapt, to change, to upgrade your thinking every single day, because the world isn't slowing down. And if you're not learning, growing, and evolving, you're getting left behind. The winners are the ones who stay ahead of the curve, who stay sharp, who stay hungry, the ones who never stop learning. The people you surround yourself with will either elevate you or hold you back. It's that simple. You cannot expect to think like a millionaire, act like a millionaire, and build wealth like a millionaire if you're spending all your time with people who don't share that mindset. Your environment shapes you in ways you don't even realize. The conversations you have, the attitudes you're around, the energy you absorb, it all influences the way you think, the decisions you make, and ultimately the results you get. Most people never reach their potential because they refuse to let go of relationships that no longer serve them. They hold on to friendships that drain them, listen to advice from people who have never achieved what they want, and stay in circles that keep them small. And they wonder why they can't seem to break through. If you want to grow, if you want to create real success, you have to be intentional about who you allow into your life. Because whether you realize it or not, you are absorbing their habits, their mindset, and their expectations. Look at any highly successful person, and you'll see one thing in common. They build powerful networks. They surround themselves with people who challenge them, push them, inspire them to think bigger. They don't waste time with negativity, with small-minded thinking, with people who make excuses. They put themselves in rooms where they're the least experienced, where they have to level up just to keep up. That's how they grow. That's how they stay sharp. Some people hear this and think it's harsh. They say, but I've known these people my whole life, or I don't want to cut people off. This isn't about abandoning people. It's about making a decision. Do you want to be loyal to your old environment, or do you want to be loyal to your future? Because you can't have both. If the people around you aren't supporting your vision, if they're not growing with you, then you need to find a new circle. And that doesn't mean you have to cut everyone out of your life, but it does mean you have to be mindful of how much influence they have over you. Success isn't just about what you know, it's about who you know. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're surrounded by the wrong people, you will stay stuck. The right connections open doors, they create opportunities, they accelerate your growth. That's why the wealthiest people on the planet prioritize relationships. They invest in masterminds, they seek out mentors, they build alliances with people who think at a higher level because they understand that success isn't a solo game. You can't do it alone. You need the right people in your corner. And here's the key. You don't have to wait for the right people to show up. You have to go out and find them. You have to put yourself in the right rooms, go to the right events, join the right communities. And when you get there, don't just sit in the background. Add value, bring something to the table, build real relationships, not just surface level connections. Because the more value you bring to others, the more valuable you become. This is how millionaires think. They don't just build businesses, they build networks. They know that success isn't just about working harder, it's about working smarter. And the smartest thing you can do is surround yourself with people who are already where you want to be. Because when you do that, their mindset becomes your mindset. Their standards become your standards. Their success becomes your new normal. And when that happens, there's no limit to what you can achieve. Money doesn't come to people who want it. It comes to people who are obsessed with creating value. That's the game. The biggest mistake people make is focusing on how much money they can get instead of focusing on how much they can give. But wealth is a direct reflection of the amount of value you bring to the marketplace. The more problems you solve, the more lives you impact, the more money flows to you, and that's how it works. Look at the wealthiest people in the world. They didn't get rich by chasing money. They got rich by creating something people needed, something people wanted, something that made a difference. Whether it was a product, a service, a technology, or an idea, they built their fortune by solving problems at scale. They weren't just thinking about making a quick buck. They were thinking about how they could serve more people, how they could create something bigger than themselves. That's the difference between people who stay broke and people who build generational wealth. Most people have it backwards. They think if I had more money, I'd be able to do more, but that's not how it works. You don't get money first. You create value first. You find a way to make people's lives easier, better, more efficient, and then the money follows. And the best part? There's no cap on how much value you can create, which means there's no cap on how much money you can earn. The only limit is how big you're willing to think. But here's where most people get stuck. They think too small. They focus on what they can do alone, what they can accomplish in their own little bubble. But wealth isn't built in isolation. It's built by leveraging resources, teams, systems. It's built by finding ways to scale. If you're trading time for money, if your income stops when you stop working, you will never create real wealth. You have to think bigger. You have to create something that grows beyond you. That's why business owners build wealth faster than employees. That's why investors get rich while most people struggle, because they understand leverage. They understand that if they can create something that serves thousands, millions of people, the money takes care of itself. They don't chase paychecks, they build systems. They don't work for money, they make money work for them. And let's be clear, this isn't just about business. Whether you're an entrepreneur, an employee, a creator, or an investor, the principle is the same. If you want more, give more. If you want to be paid more, make yourself more valuable. Develop skills that solve high-level problems. Master a craft that people are willing to pay a premium for. Stop thinking about what's in it for you and start thinking about how you can serve at the highest level. That's how you separate yourself. That's how you go from struggling to thriving. Because when you become the person who delivers massive value, you don't have to chase opportunities. They come to you. People will want to work with you, to partner with you, to invest in you. And when that happens, making money is no longer the hard part. The challenge becomes how big you're willing to play, how many people you're willing to impact, how much value you're willing to create. Because once you make that shift, wealth is inevitable.